Hey Grownups, I have something exciting to share with you. There's a brand new kids podcast out now that I think you're going to love. It's called Mysteries About True Histories. This show is perfect if you love adventures, solving riddles, and maybe even some wacky math problems. But I need a little help from some new friends to tell you more. Max and Molly, take it away.
From the creators of Who Smarted, Starglow Media, comes a brand new podcast called Mysteries About True Histories.
Does that sound serious enough?
Max, we only have 30 seconds for this promo. Just tell them how your mysterious aunt recruited us into a secret order of problem solvers who travel time and have epic adventures.
I don't have to. You just did.
Catch new episodes of Mysteries About True Histories every Thursday on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hey, Taleblazers, I'm Rebecca Cunningham, and this is Girl Tales, a kids' podcast of feminist stories for a new generation. Before we get started, I'd like to wish a very happy birthday to Lulea. I'd also like to send some very special shout-outs to Zadie and Alma. And I've got to give special credit for this upcoming story to a bunch of Taleblazers, including Saskia, Selah, and Ericka, who helped write this story. That's right, they attended Taleblazer weekend back in March, and they got to create a story with the Girl Tales team. And this is the product from that weekend. Grownups, if your Taleblazer missed Taleblazer weekend, you can head to patreon.com/girltales and join today. The videos will be available to you there. Now on to our episode. This is Sakura and the Unicorn. Enjoy! I'd like to tell you about a friend of mine. Her name was Sakura, and she lives in Freshwater like me. I've been friends with her for a long time, but I would like to tell you about the first time that I met her. It was a beautiful spring day in Freshwater. I had just arrived in the center of town to visit the weekly farmers market in order to pick up some food for dinner. I knew that Old MacDonald had a great supply of carrots, and I knew I couldn't miss out on Shirley Holmes's freshly baked ice cream with brownies. I walked towards the market and stopped at the first booth. There were beautiful piles of plum tomatoes right next to the stacks of corn, perfectly yellow. I reached for an ear of corn when I noticed a large shadow begin to cross over my hand. The shadow crossed over my hand onto the corn, then the tomatoes, and soon across the whole booth. Other Freshwater townspeople were noticing the shadow too. Then we looked up. Way up high, flying in the sky, was a giant unicorn. The unicorn roared a mighty roar that shook the earth. I must admit, seeing a giant unicorn big enough to block the sun felt a little bit frightening, so I did what many of the townspeople around me were choosing to do. I ran and hid. I found a wooden bench that was large enough to duck behind. It had slats that I could see through to look at the unicorn while staying hidden, so I thought it was a good choice. The unicorn soared over the farmer's market, roaring and growing closer to the ground. It landed with a boom. For a moment, everything was still. Then, from between the slats, I saw a girl walk calmly towards the creature. "Hello, unicorn. I'm Sakura," Sakura said. "What seems to be the problem?" The unicorn roared in response. I thought Sakura might have been scared, but instead she laughed. "Well, why didn't you say so, silly?" giggled Sakura. Then she turned to the crowd, still hiding behind benches and under farmers' market's mango, yellow, orange stands. "Everyone," said Sakura, "this is my new friend, Rosie. He says he's sorry for scaring everyone, but he heard that this was the best farmers' market around and was hoping to purchase some fruits and vegetables to make for dinner tonight." The unicorn roared again, as if to say, "That's what I was trying to tell you." That was when I came out from my spot behind the bench. "I can help," I said. "I'm just here to do some shopping for dinner myself." "So can I," piped up another Freshwater townsperson. "Me too." Soon everyone was back to their shopping, helping the unicorn find the best ice cream, with brownies, carrots, and blueberries to bring home to this family. In the crowd, I found Sakura and introduced myself. Sakura was new to Freshwater. As it turns out, she had learned how to speak the unicorn's language in her old school. I asked her how she got to be so brave. After all, when all of us were hiding, she was the only one to speak. "Well," she said, "my family just moved here, and I felt nervous that people at my new school might judge me before they got to know me. When I saw the unicorn and everyone started running, I knew that they were judging him before they got to know him. And I can understand why. That roar would be pretty scary if you didn't know that he was just saying hello." I blinked. She was right. I had judged the unicorn, just by the way he looked and sounded. Sakura continued on. "I thought that if I could treat him the way I wanted to be treated, I might be able to encourage other people to do the same. And look!" I looked over at the unicorn, surrounded by new friends helping him sort through an enormous assortment of baked goods. The unicorn roared with delight. "He says thank you," said Sakura. "You're welcome," said the townspeople of Freshwater. With that, the unicorn took flight, back into the skies and towards his home. I made sure to introduce Sakura to Miss Katrina Van Tassel, the school drama teacher, before I left, so she might feel a little less nervous about going to a new school. It turns out Sakura didn't have much to worry about. She spoke unicorn so well that she made lots of friends at school who wanted to learn to speak the language too. But she taught us all an important lesson that day about having an open mind, an open heart, and waiting to judge someone before you know them. That was Sakura and the Unicorn, written by Megan Bagala and many Taleblazers. Grownups, if your Taleblazer missed Taleblazer weekend, you can head to patreon.com/girltales and donate today. There, you'll be able to see the recording of our event. And if you want to attend future events, head to girltalespodcast.com/events and check out what we have coming up. Produced by Tessa Flannery, performed and executive produced by Rebecca Cunningham. Girl Tales is a Cordelia Studios production. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts. And Grownups, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you for listening, and remember, I believe in you.